Hello folks, this is John again, and today we are going to oil the top here. And I'm going to do this in my bedroom, so I'm sorry for the horrible acoustics. So I sanded this down to 320 again. 240 was a little bit still too rough. 320 I guess should be fine because 400 somehow was not available here in my Home Depot in my little neck of the woods. So yeah, for oil I got True Oil. This is actually marketed for guns. So yeah, I'm not a fan of guns. But in general for finishing wood, this supposedly is really good. Lots of people use this for guitars. I watched a couple of tutorials and read about it, and this seems to be the primary choice. And it also dries really quick. Other oils sink really deep into the wood and they take a long time to dry. So it can take a couple of days, if not weeks, until that's done, because you have to put on a couple of coats. You put on one coat, let it dry, sand it off again, then put on another coat, and you have to do that a couple of times until you're done. And with this oil, it goes really quick. It should take like, I don't know, 2 days. Okay, so I got all my stuff here on the side. We're gonna put on one coat, and interestingly enough, here in the instructions, it says to buff lightly with 00 steel wool between coats if surface imperfections exist. So they don't actually say to sand it down with sandpaper, but steel wool, which I happen to have here. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Okay, then let's get started. Ah, come on. And I'm gonna use a piece of cloth for this. So I just cut up an old t-shirt. Do like this. Okay. And now first coat, we can put it on a little bit thicker and go with the gray. Okay, first coat is done. Now it's looking really nice. Wow. Okay, now I'm not sure if you can see this. This whole area, of course, isn't too, well, it's still pretty dark. Here you can see it's a different piece of wood, and it's a little bit darker. But yeah, that's why, as I said, I'm not going to invest too much time and effort into this because it's not a high-end guitar. So the importance level is also not as high. I actually had a couple of other ideas that I could do with this guitar. Really great ideas, but gotta weigh your options, you know. Is the guitar worth it to invest that much time and money into? Or are you fine with doing it a little bit cheaper, ghetto style? Yeah, and now we gotta let that dry for, I don't know, I guess it shouldn't take too long. Perhaps I'm gonna let it dry for 2 hours and check it again, because I'm doing this in a normal heated room. So, and while we wait to let it dry, let me show you what I did to the neck. So for this one, I actually took it to our little music shop here and asked them if they could rework the frets. And the guy said actually the flat spots aren't bad at all. I could just leave it like this. Wouldn't make too much sense to invest that much more money into that when it's not too bad. But what I can do is take a little bit of lemon oil, and also again the 00 steel wool, so the finest you can find. Put the oil on top. The oil looks something like this. just a, you know, generic guitar cleaning lemon oil. Just drip it on top, take a piece of steel wool and really rub it in and rub it across the frets to clean them up. And now they are nice and shiny again, for the most part. Depending on how dirty the fretboard and the frets are, you could go with a bit rougher kind of steel wool, but this worked out for me. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit now for a couple of hours and then we'll come back and go on. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours, a little bit more than 2 hours, and I'm just checking out the guitar right now. It has already a very nice shimmer to it. It looks pretty cool. So it's not 100% dry yet, still feels a little bit wet, but you can also feel the wood has gotten a little bit rougher again, because oil kind of has this effect that little fibers start to poke out again. So, and as I read on the manual, you use steel wool for this, so yep, this is doing a very good job. Okay, I decided to actually go with the 320 sandpaper after all, because the steel wool leaves some nasty steel fuzz everywhere. I don't quite like that. Sandpaper or steel wool, it does the same job here onto the surface. I find the sandpaper works a little bit quicker. Perhaps the steel wool is just a touch too fine for the first coat, because with the first coat the fibers are pretty strong and it gets pretty rough actually, so I would start off with the sandpaper. After the second coat we can check if sandpaper still is the better choice over the steel wool, but we'll see when we get to that. So now we can put on the second coat. Alrighty. Alright, and there we have the second coat. Now we gotta let that dry again for another 2-3 hours. We'll come back again with another sanding off, and then a third layer and a fourth layer, and depending on how it looks, perhaps also a fifth layer. We'll see when we get to that. Alright, so the second coat is dry. And it feels a bit rough again, but not as bad as after the first coat. It has a very nice gloss to it, but it's still not enough. We still gotta do this 2 or 3 times, then we're there. First of all, sand it off again. Like a baby booty. Okay, and now third coat. Check the edges so they don't get messy. I could have taped it off, I guess, but then again, this isn't too big of a deal here. Okay, and now that's the third coat. I'll let it dry again for a few hours and go on with the fourth coat. I hope after the fourth coats I can leave it as like that. Now I'm gonna put on a fifth coat, and yeah, should be done by tomorrow sometime. So see you again in a couple of hours. Okay, and now this one is also dry. Let's just sand it off again. It's already starting to look pretty cool. But you can notice they really, yeah, they were building this guitar with the idea that it's gonna be painted. Because you can't quite see the different pieces of wood in here. But yeah, as I said, it's, you know, you gotta weigh your importance to the amount of work you want to put into this ratio. It could have gone all kinds of different routes, really, but this is the route I went with now. I think it's not quite 100% dry yet. I'm still gonna sand it off now, perhaps put on the next coat a little bit afterwards when it's really dry, because it still feels just slightly sticky. Yeah, okay, this still needs 1 or 2 more coats, and then I guess we should be done. But I'm gonna wait another hour or so before I put on the next coat. It still feels a little bit sticky, but I'll come back to you with the progress in a little bit. Good morning, folks. So, today is another day. Today is Sunday, and yesterday evening I still put on the 4th coat of True Oil, and yeah, now it's getting pretty much close to finish. So the surface is still a little bit rough. I sand it down one last time, and then I gotta see if I want to put on another final coat of oil or just leave it like this. And now for this sanding, I kind of do want to use the steel wool because it's not as rough as the sandpaper. So I also want to see how the gloss will be in the end. So this is, yeah, I still gotta put on one final layer, I suppose, because I want it to be a little bit more glossy. I don't want it to be too flat looking. Yeah, the surface is very nice and smooth now. Also a little bit, yeah. I'll put on, I guess, one last coat, then I should be done. Okay, then what we can do, I'm just gonna take the soaked piece of cloth and rub it along the edges and the back so those get also a bit more shiny. Oh, wow. That will make the whole look pop a little bit more. So I'm gonna let this last coat dry now. Then I hope I can start reassembling this thing. Okay, and here we are again. So now this is pretty much done. You can see how cool this looks. Yeah, so this is 5 coats of True Oil now, and it's looking really nice. The last 2 coats took a bit longer to dry up. In any case, so the body is pretty much done now. And I can go on reassembling the thing, and then at the final step we'll get to the electronics. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you next time.